Welcome to Digging Roots, where we uncover family stories, hidden histories, and the moments that connect us to who we are. In this series, we talk about the Albee family, a story rooted in resilience, tradition, and the hidden moments that shape their legacy. Every family has a beginning, a spark that sets generations in motion. For the Albees, that spark has burned steadily for centuries. Through storms and voyages, through battlefields and homesteads, from old world villages to the untamed wilderness of a new continent. It is a story of courage and conviction, of faith tested and legacy earned. The Albee name is more than a thread through records. It is a tapestry woven with hard decisions and hopeful beginnings. It tells of men and women who dared to leave everything familiar behind, not for riches or glory, but for freedom. The freedom to worship, to work, and to build a life on their own terms. The Albee story stretches across continents and centuries. At its heart, it is one man, Benjamin Albee, whose choice to defy conformity and seek a better life helped lay the foundation of towns, communities, and futures. This is not just a chronicle of the past, it is a celebration of perseverance, a tribute to roots that run deep, and an invitation to walk the path of those who came before. The Albee family's journey is far from over, but like all great stories, it begins with a single step. Welcome to the legacy of the Albees. The Albee family origins are woven through three distinct European origins: French, Spanish, and Scottish, each with its own version of the name, its own path through time. The Norman Albees were warriors and landowners, settling in England after the 1066 Norman Conquest, where their name appeared in records as Albee or Albee. The Norman people, published in 1874, states that the two names, although spelled differently, are of identical origin. The Spanish Albees, or Albees, carried a name meaning born at dawn, a poetic reference to new beginnings and noble heritage. Meanwhile, the Scottish Albees trace their roots back to Kenneth MacAlpin, the first king of Scotland. The name was linked to MacAlpin, meaning son of the blonde one. But while these stories are fascinating, only one path leads to our Albee ancestors. The earliest recorded Albee in England was Everard de Albe, a witness to the charter in Studley, Oxford, in the 12th century. From there, the name appears in Norwich, where Clement de Albee was a priest in 1350, and Roger de Albee was listed in 1353. By 1470, a man named William Albee was trusted enough to be named successor of a will, a sign that the family had established itself as respected members of the community. But how did the Albee name come across the Atlantic? That is where our story begins. For centuries, England had been a land of tradition and power, but by the early 1600s, it was also a place of upheaval. Religious tensions ran high. Those who refused to conform to the Church of England faced persecution, exile, or worse. Among them was Benjamin Albee, born 1614 in Norfolk, England. By 1637, records describe an Albee, almost certainly Benjamin, among a group of men who had come into conflict with Bishop Wren, a strict enforcer of Anglican rule. The historical account states, "Many of them could not push on their designs to a crisis so early as they wished, as Mr. Peck, Mr. Albee, Mr. Ward, Mr. Bridges, etc., being opposed to in their proceedings by Bishop Wren, went voluntarily beyond the sea, some to Holland, some to New England, and others to diverse places." While the exact reason for his departure is unclear, one fact is undeniable. Benjamin Albee left England by choice, not by force. He, like many others, refused to conform to religious doctrine, and instead he chose freedom over obedience. His destination, the New World. That same year, Benjamin Albee boarded a ship in the Winthrop Fleet, a group of 11 ships carrying Puritans, livestock, and provisions to the Massachusetts Bay Colony, the second major settlement in New England following Plymouth Colony. Led by John Winthrop, this fleet was part of what became known as the Great Puritan Migration, a mass exodus of English Puritans seeking religious freedom and a new way of life. Winthrop himself would go on to become governor of the Massachusetts Bay Colony. Benjamin Albee first made his home in Boston, but his journey wasn't just about survival. It was about building something new. Shortly after arriving, Benjamin married Hannah Miller. In 1637, Hannah was born in Ipswich, England, and came to the new colonies with their parents, Peter and May Miller. Within 2 years, their first son James was born in 1640. They would have a total of 7 children. Life in Boston was promising, but opportunity lay beyond the city. That same year, Benjamin exchanged land he owned in Boston for 3 lots in a new settlement, Braintree, Massachusetts. It was here in 1642 that he became a free man, a status not easily given. In early colonial society, men who arrived in a settlement were not automatically considered free men. Instead, they were classified as common men and placed under careful observation. To become a free man, a man had to prove himself, demonstrating good character, religious devotion, and loyalty to the colony. If he failed, he could be asked to leave the settlement. But Benjamin Albee passed the test. By 1642, he was recognized as a man of standing, debt-free and bound only to God. His reputation and influence grew, leading him to settle further inland, in a place that would become his true home, Medfield, Massachusetts. In 1649, Benjamin was among the first settlers of Medfield, one of the earliest towns in the Massachusetts Bay Colony. He was not just a resident, he was a builder, a leader, and a founder. He acquired 4 acres of land near Brastow's Bridge, where he built his home and worked as a carpenter. He was deeply involved in shaping the new settlement, holding positions such as measure of land, which was ensuring property boundaries were fair and accurate. He also worked as a sealer of weights and measures, maintaining honesty in trade and commerce, and as a selectman, serving as one of the town's first government officials. His leadership extended beyond Medfield. In 1659, he was chosen as a commissioner to the General Court, representing the town in the colony's highest governing body. By the mid-1600s, Benjamin had relocated once more, this time to Mendon, Massachusetts, where he made his most significant contribution. Between 1664 and 1666, he built the first water-powered gristmill in what is now Milford, Massachusetts. The Mill River, which still runs through the area today, was essential to survival, providing a steady flow of water to grind grain into flour, sustaining the growing settlement. When Mendon held its first town meeting in 1667, Benjamin was chosen once again as a selectman, solidifying his place as one of the town's original founders. By 1671, after decades of leadership, settlement, and resilience, Benjamin Albee passed away, leaving behind a family, a legacy, and a lasting imprint on New England's history. His descendants would carry on his name, spreading across Massachusetts and beyond, shaping the future of America. Benjamin Albee's journey was one of faith, courage, and determination. He left England not because he was forced to, but because he chose freedom. And this is just the beginning of the Albee story. For nearly a decade, Benjamin Albee's gristmill had been the center of life in Mendon. The Mill River provided food and trade, and settlers depended on it for survival. But beneath its surface, tensions had been rising. The fragile peace between the native tribes and English settlers, the same peace celebrated at the first Thanksgiving, had shattered. The year was 1675, and King Philip's War had begun. For years, the Wampanoag Indians, led by their chief Metacom, had watched their lands shrink as Puritan towns spread across New England. He was known to the settlers as Philip because of the friendly relations between his father, Massasoit, and the Mayflower Pilgrims. The peaceful coexistence from the first Thanksgiving in Plymouth had long ended. A lack of agreement between the settlers and the native people in regards to land, religion, and way of life led to such intense conflict that the Indians thought it was necessary to send the English back to Europe. But the settlers brought with them new laws, new religions, and a way of life that was erasing their own. Tensions boiled over in Swansea, Massachusetts, where the Wampanoags launched the first attack, setting off what would become one of the deadliest wars in early American history. 3 weeks later, the war came to Mendon. The attack came swiftly. The Nipmuc tribe, now allied with King Philip, struck without warning. Homes were set ablaze, fields trampled, and settlers slaughtered. The Albee family, along with other townspeople, fled eastward, abandoning everything they had built. As the flames engulfed the gristmill, John Albee, Benjamin's son, was killed in the chaos. His blood stained the soil of the land his father had worked so hard to claim. The Mendon Massacre sent shockwaves through the Massachusetts Bay Colony. It was the first attack outside of Plymouth Colony, proving that Philip's call to war had succeeded. Native tribes across New England were rising up together. Panic spread. The settlers knew they were alone. There would be no reinforcements from England. For the first time, the colonies would have to defend themselves. New England assembled its largest army yet, launching counterattacks across the region. Towns burned, both native and English. Entire communities were wiped out. The war dragged on for 3 brutal years, reaching into northern New England before finally ending with the Treaty of Casco Bay in 1678. But the scars would last forever. With Mendon in ruins, most of the Albee family never returned. John was gone, and the home Benjamin had built was no more. Only James Albee, the eldest son, had the will to rebuild. While others sought safety elsewhere, James returned to Mendon, determined to reclaim what he had lost. His efforts would mark the next chapter in the Albee family's survival. Today, a stone marker stands at the corner of Providence Road and Hartford Avenue East, a silent reminder of the July 14th, 1675 attack. It marks more than just a battlefield. It marks a place where one family's world was turned to ash, where the cost of expansion was paid in blood, and where a young nation's identity began to take shape. King Philip's War was more than just a conflict. It was the beginning of an American identity. The settlers had fought without England's help for the first time, seeing themselves not as subjects, but as something separate. The Albees, like so many others, had sacrificed and endured, and now their name would be written into the story of a nation that was still being born. War changes everything. It destroys, it divides, but it also reshapes. For the Albee family, Mendon was both a home and a graveyard, but from its ashes, James Albee would rebuild. and the family story would continue. Because history doesn't end with war, it begins again. This glimpse into the Albee family is just one branch of a much larger story. If you've got family stories of your own, share them in the comments. We'd love to hear them. Thanks for joining us on our journey. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Digging Roots.